Blackhawks with a tough 4-1 loss to the Oilers tonight. Now, the big storyline heading into this game was Connor Bedard missing it with an illness. Unfortunately, this flu or whatever it is that's spreading through the Blackhawks locker room continues to knock guys out. Bedard got sick at some point today, and he was ruled out. He was scratched for tonight's game. Teuvo Teravainen went down with the illness. Presumably, I guess they haven't confirmed what he left with, but I'm pretty sure he left sick after the first period as well. So the Blackhawks were running with 11 forwards, no Teravainen, no Bedard, no Nazar either tonight. Louis Kreve just getting back in the lineup. Spencer Knight making his first start back. I'm sure other guys have been affected and are probably not playing at 100% too. So unfortunately, this is a pretty banged up roster right now. This is kind of a tough point in the year, and it showed for a majority of this game. They really generated next to nothing throughout the course of this game. There were a few turnovers like Burakovsky, Doc. They got quality looks off Edmonton turnovers. Green had a great chance, I think, on the power play earlier in the game, and he couldn't capitalize on that. But really, outside of that, chances were few and far between for the Blackhawks, which I guess you can't expect. This team is in a real rough stretch health-wise right now. Now, this kind of has been a theme here for the past 3 games, but credit again to the Blackhawks tonight. They stayed in this game. Zach Hyman scored a backdoor tap-in kind of goal. He kind of outmuscled Alex Vlasic in the first period to get the Oilers on the board, but the only other Oilers goal up to the last minute of the game was an Evan Bouchard shot from the corner that bounced off a few pairs of skates and into the net. So it was a real fluky goal. Outside of that, the Blackhawks held it together defensively. They, kept it a 2-0 game for a majority of this game. They were 2 for 2 on the penalty kill in the second period. So they stopped an Oilers power play, which is ranked number 1 in the league from scoring on both their attempts. So kind of like the win Saturday night versus Nashville, they didn't generate a lot, but they played well enough defensively to limit opponent scoring and opponent chances. Now, the Oilers, especially early on, definitely did get their fair share of chances. So shout out to Spencer Knight, but for holding it together, because the Blackhawks, again, kept it a 2-0 game for a majority of this game. Late in the third period, 5 minutes left, Tyler Bertuzzi puts in a rebound off a shot from Wyatt Kaiser for his 24th goal of the season. That made it 2-1, and there were a few minutes after that goal was scored that the Blackhawks really pushed. They got really their only elite offensive chances of the night. Their only high quality push of the night was right after that Bertuzzi goal, and they threatened pretty hard. There were a few real nice chances. Unfortunately, though, they ended up pulling the goalie with about a minute left, and Bouchard was able to hit a full ice shot into the empty net to seal it. Draisaitl tacked one on with 30 seconds left, and it was a 4-1 final. Got to give a shout out to Artie Levchinov. I thought he had a pretty good night. He was pretty noticeable on both ends of the ice. He played 24 minutes 33 seconds, which was highlighted by a 5-minute 33-second shift in the second period. That's kind of crazy. The NHL record was set by Jack Hughes on a 6-minute 2-second shift just a few years ago. So Artie was 30 seconds away from breaking that record, but he registered 24:33. That's his second highest ice time this season. The only one higher actually happened just a few games ago, Friday night versus Washington. But he had 3 shots, 6 hits, a block. I thought he played pretty well and created a few chances, especially late in the game. He was on the ice a lot to end the game, and for good reason. He was really generating chances offensively, keeping plays alive in the offensive zone, and was a big contributor to that Blackhawks push late. Hawks are starting to slip a little bit in the standing. It's kind of funny because the first period they look like a team that's going to be picking top 3 in the draft, but then they still kind of hold it together throughout the game. They push late, they make it a 1-goal game, and then you realize, well, they're down 3 of their best forwards, and it's a 1-goal game versus a very good Edmonton Oilers team. So now you're thinking this is a playoff team. It's kind of tough to say that it's really up and down for the Hawks, but unfortunately right now they sit 3 points out of a playoff spot, but they've also played 2 more games than the team in the second spot, which is the Kings. It's going to be really interesting to follow just kind of how the standings play out. I kind of just hope the Blackhawks can stay afloat. It feels like even if they're in the mix and playing meaningful games, they could still end up picking high in this upcoming draft. So we'll kind of see what happens. It feels like a few of the teams ahead of them, I just don't really feel confident in that they can really hold their spot. Like San Jose's having having an unreal season right now, but I really don't feel like Macklin Celebrini can continue to carry this team all season long. I guess we'll see. He's done it up to this point, but I just really would be surprised if the Sharks end up making the playoffs. Like the Kraken, they were on like what, an 8-10 game losing streak earlier this season. They're in the third spot in the Pacific with 50 points. The Kings right now, they're a really streaky team. You could totally see them going on a big skid or something like that and falling out of the picture. I mean, the Mammoth, like they're definitely a decent team, but they haven't been like that great this year. The Predators, I think they go on a skid later in the season. I'd be shocked if they were still in the race come the last few weeks of the season. And the Ducks are on a massive losing streak right now. They've been playing really tough hockey recently. So those are the teams ahead of the Hawks. Like realistically, they could catch up to any one of those teams, and fully healthy, this team I honestly think could probably beat all of those teams. But this is a tougher part here in the schedule with everybody so hurt, so sick, not even hurt, just sick right now. There's a nasty illness flying through the locker room. So hopefully, we don't see that impact them too much more. They do have 2 days off here, Tuesday, Wednesday off before a game versus Calgary on Thursday. Hopefully everybody can get healthy and no one else goes down. I heard on the broadcast it sounded like Comesso and Bereznoy, who was only up and backed up for one game. Bereznoy went down with illness. Comesso went down with illness after they left Chicago. So it's really unfortunate how rapid this illness is spreading. Again, hopefully we're here. We don't have to talk about this come next post-game recap video, but we'll see what happens here in the next few days. Hopefully everyone can get healthy. Go through a few takeaways here over on Twitter at Blackhawks Focus. First one says, loved how we played in the third period. Honestly, we were close to scoring multiple times, but Ingram said no, it wasn't bad. Yeah, there were a few chances throughout the game that the Blackhawks had. I mentioned a few of them, like the Burakovsky doc. They got chances. They got great looks off of turnovers. Green had a grade A chance on the power play at some point in this game. And you just look back a few nights to Nashville, they didn't get a lot of chances in that game either. They just capitalized on them when they did, and they played a little bit tighter defensively. Also, the Predators don't quite have the offensive star power that the Oilers do. So those factors kind of played into the Blackhawks not quite being able to stem the comeback. Started slow but didn't give up. More faces off versus McDavid. Artie Ironman shift. Fearless Slaggert on both ends. Yeah, I will say this. Again, they started off really bad. I thought this game was one that could get out of hand early, but credit to the Hawks, man. They kept in it. Again, very shorthanded, especially once Turbo went down, and they were able to at least make it a game come the third period. We'll also talk a little bit about Moore because he was getting out there. He was like the main offensive guy Blashill was trying to get on the ice. They took Moore off for a D-zone faceoff with like a minute left. They put Green on for the D-zone faceoff, but once Green won that draw, he got right off the ice and Oliver Moore jumped on. So they were really running Moore late. It just tells that the coaching staff has increasing confidence in Moore, and they're putting him out here more in late game situations. Kind of shows how impressive he's been, especially since moving to center. It's going to be interesting to see once we're back fully healthy with Bedard and Nazar back, where Moore ends up slotting in, because he's played really well at center. He just moves way better at center. He's able to use his speed and skating much more in that position. So the Hawks certainly aren't lacking center depth. Fully healthy when you have Bedard, Nazar, Green, Moore, Dickinson, Foligno, Doc. All these guys can move into center. Donato in that list. Great effort by the Hawks. They were looking for a top shelf goal on Ingram, and Bedard would have gotten it for sure. Hopefully everyone back on Thursday. Yeah, Bedard was a tough scratch here. I definitely would have helped the Blackhawks offensively in this one. Pretty good efforts against a really good team. I think that's a good place to leave it off, because yeah, it was a solid effort from the Hawks. Didn't generate a ton, played decent defensively. Hopefully next game they're back fully healthy and able to get back in the win column versus Calgary. I'm planning to be at practice tomorrow, though I'm going to keep my distance from anyone that's been in the Hawks locker room recently, but I'll provide updates if there are any, if anyone else gets called up to provide a little bit of depth. I'll make sure to update you, but if not, next video from me will come after the game versus Calgary.